Fellow Toastmasters, the package arrived on a Friday. I opened it, watched the YouTube video, and then I took the vial and I began to spit. I had to fill it to the black line. I screwed on the cap, punched it. A blue liquid mingled with my spit. I shook it, put it in an envelope, and mailed it back to Ancestry.com. Several weeks later, the results arrived. No big surprise. Scandinavian and British. Now, one thing I like about Ancestry.com is you can see who you're related to. There was one name that intrigued me, QM2D. I was the first cousin 8 times removed from this person. Well, the next day I got an email from QM2D at royal.dk. Queen Margareta II of Denmark is my distant cousin. She welcomed me to the family, and then she told me that because of a quirk in the Danish constitution, I was now the heir to the throne of the Kingdom of Denmark. Included in the email was a one-way ticket to Copenhagen. I arrived at the Copenhagen airport, and waiting curbside was a royal carriage with 6 white horses. I clambered inside. We're jostling through the streets of Copenhagen. Crowds are beginning to form. So I try out my first royal wave. I arrived at Rosenborg Castle, met Queen Margareta II, lovely woman, heavy smoker. I may be queen sooner than we think. Well, she welcomed me. She commented that she loved my red and white, the colors of the Danish flag. And she suggested that I start learning Danish. She gave me a tour of Rosenborg Castle. And then she said, "Let's go see the crown jewels." We scampered down to the dungeon. And she was still puffing on her cigarette, but she showed me this incredible array of the orb, the scepter, several crowns. And then she motioned me over to one particular display. She opened it, pulled out a crown, and placed it on my head. And she said, "This is the crown that you will wear when you are crowned Queen of Denmark." Oh, even in the haze of the smoke, it was so thrilling. Suddenly, an arrow shot into the dungeon. It was on fire. I was stamping it out. And the queen then noticed there was a scroll wrapped around the arrow. She unfurled it, read it. Her mouth fell open. The cigarette fell to the floor. I'm stamping out the cigarette. And she handed the scroll to me. It was from Ancestry.com. Turns out that Queen Margareta II of Denmark is not the only famous relative of mine. I am the great, many-time great niece of someone even more famous. Ho, ho, ho! Now, in addition to learning Danish, I am brushing up on chimneys. Fellow Toastmasters,